Thank you everyone for coming here. Today is slightly different from last year. This is our second edition. This is the first time we've invited investors from the Indian ecosystem as well. So we have 70 odd investors who have registered, and I hope all the founders here will be able to meet them. We also have cybersecurity professionals. This time we tried getting a lot of CISOs. I should say I request all of you next time we have to get a lot more CISOs and buyers. So I need the help from the ecosystem. But why are we doing this? Why Accel invests in setting up this conference is for the goal of getting the next billion-dollar company of cybersecurity from India. So that's a shared vision we would like to have with this community. So look forward to a day of exciting talks and exciting demos. And most importantly, what is different for this conference, when we were conceptualizing this last year, there are so many conferences which happen in cybersecurity in India. So why is this Accel conference going to be different? And last year, we took a lot of feedback from founders. We realized that there's no conference in India which happens about how to build a business, right? So there's CTFs, there's a lot of, technology conferences that are happening, geeky. I went to a few. I couldn't get most of it, but still, the idea was how do we help founders do better and build better businesses? That is the whole objective of this conference. So with that, I'll just start. Why Accel? So Accel has been investing in India for now close to 2 decades. We manage over 3 billion in India. We manage over 20 billion globally. And you will see a lot of names here of companies which are fairly large and part of our lives and in India. But with respect to cybersecurity, Accel is actually the best VC you can find globally. So we have investments, over 40 plus investments in the last decade or so. And let me take you through some of, and as you can see, they are across all the different spectrums. So we have a fairly large team which focuses on cybersecurity. But there's a very interesting story which is very close to my heart. Right around the time, when I joined Accel, we ended up investing in CrowdStrike when CrowdStrike was less than 5 million in revenue. And now CrowdStrike, as of 2 days ago, trades at over $116 billion on the US stock market. And it all started with a very simple thought process. I'm slightly unwrapping what happened behind the scenes. So in 2012, we started looking at the market, trying to understand the trends, trying to see what would become the next big company. And we came up with the whole thesis of identities and endpoint. We ended up meeting George. And at that time, the company raised a small round. We participated in the round. And then from there on, it was onwards and upwards. And it's very interesting. The story of CrowdStrike, I know I don't need to tell you guys, you would know already, but they kept on adding one after the other categories, and now they are one of the cybersecurity platforms. Our take on the cybersecurity market, 3 things to take away for the cybersecurity market. So first, it's a huge market. A lot of founders are very focused on their own segments. But from an investor perspective, I think there's lots and lots of opportunities. So huge market, it's close to $400 billion. There are 2 segments, and I'll deep dive into all of these. And then finally, security for AI. So the market is projected to close to be 377 billion in a very short order of time. All of us know this, that's why we are here. But more importantly, how do the segments break up? And I've highlighted 2 segments, cloud security as well as identity and access management, which we think are going to be the key over the next decade. And guys know this, but non-human identities, for example, and the transition to cloud actually all has gotten accelerated with AI. If you want to use AI, if any organization wants to use AI, the best answer is they need to have cloud, just because compute is not available on-prem. And that is what is very exciting for us. So we are starting to see these segments and we are starting to invest across the board. But from a founder perspective, if you're building in these 2 segments, hopefully you have the tailwinds with you as well. Finally, the LLM and Gen AI security landscape, it's crowded. The money isn't there yet. Companies have not gone into production. People are trying to, this is the OWASP landscape. So, and this will hopefully get refreshed. There are 1 or 2 companies here from India as well. I think Encrypt is here. Encrypt guys are in the room. So bunch of, what is happening here is companies have not taken apps into production yet. We are already talking about agentic applications. That is not happening as of now. It will take some time. But however, VCs are still investing. So this is a market which is like a first mover advantage market. If you are building for this category, you have to be patient to get revenues. VCs are going to be patient with you, but there's a lot of opportunity right now because no clear winner exists in the market. No incumbent has like a solid product. Most of the platforms are dispersed. The technologies around securing these apps are completely up for grabs, right? So it's all very nascent right now. So that's the take on the market from our side. But India, and the reason we are doing this conference, is a very nascent cybersecurity market today. We have, this is traction data, we have close to 1,500 companies. However, the number of funded companies is less than 300. And actually, if you look at the number of companies which have raised Series B, like we're starting to dwindling down to double digit, like tens of companies. And this is what we want to change. This is where we as Accel are trying to invest in this ecosystem, trying to get the security professionals, trying to get the founders, investors, all of them together to say, hey, let's go for this. Let's build this ecosystem and make it bigger. Very few companies have IPO'd in India as well. So actually, if you are a company which can build out a business and go list in the Indian stock market, you will be, embraced with great love, I would say. This is our take on. We try to reduce the number of categories. So, and this is not exhaustive list. I think we couldn't put all the 200 companies. We just put companies which are more recently have raised capital or have been in the news. But this gives you some idea. The interesting bit is obviously, AppSec. There are a lot of companies. There are a lot of companies in data and compliance. Guys, we need more companies on offensive security rather than just compliance. That's my one ask from all of you. Right? It's hard. Build hard products. Don't build easy products. Nothing bad with compliance. I mean, it isn't needed. The compliance spends are going to increase. GRC is going to increase. But then you have to go from there to all the other segments as well. Right? So that is important. This is actually the meat of what we want to share with people in the room. So what does a VC look for? There are not a lot of VC investments as you've seen in cybersecurity. So a lot of founders are always asking us, what are you really looking for in cybersecurity companies? And I think the most important thing, three things, just a checklist is one is, can you be a very large company? There was a lot of debate which I had with founders that if I put this up, will founders get scared? You're talking about $1 billion ARR. And I was very happy. I checked with six founders. All six of them came back and said, hey, this is why we are doing this. We are going for creating large outcomes and we are not afraid. Like I can show you verbatim messages. The interesting thing is VCs were more afraid on putting out this message. And the founders are like, no, this is what we want to do. We want to conquer. We want to go out and win globally. Second one is, can you get to $1 billion ARR in less than 10 years? And this is something which is a new reality. Surprisingly, whenever we do this conference, something or the other is happening in the world. So last year it was Google and Wiz acquisition, which was announced around this conference. And now we have another $20 billion acquisition announced overnight, or at least rumors of it, right? So it's very interesting to see that some of these companies, like Wiz, obviously grew very, very fast. They have already shown that it is possible. We will show you some more companies that are doing that. But it is possible to get to billion ARR in less than 10 years. And even if the founders find it hard, VCs want to believe it. So it's a very difficult situation internally in our office, right? And then we will talk about how to build moats. Okay, so how do you, it's easy for me as a VC to ask a founder, is $1 billion ARR possible or not? But there are some strategies which we want you to focus on. First and foremost is, just upsize your ambitions. I know we are sitting in Koramangala, we are sitting in, not in the US, we are sitting in this small auditorium, but our ambitions don't need to be bounded by all of this. Our ambitions have to be global. We have to have, and this is specifically true for if you're looking for venture funding, by the way. Like if you're not looking for venture funding, then hey, it's fine. A lot of times I find founders very excited with 5 million revenue. They get excited with 100 million valuations. But as a VC, I can tell you that that's just a pit stop. You have to think larger, you have to think bigger. And when a founder comes and meets a VC, that is actually one of the things which we are thinking about. How deep is the ambition of the person? How much fire do they have inside of them? Are they thinking very long term? Have they thought about, hey, I need to do this? They just can't, sit in the room idle. They are full of energy. Actually, all of this one thought process is like super important for to build a very large company, because then you will think very long term. Then you'll start thinking about building hard things. Then you'll start making hard decisions, and that is what is really needed. So it's not a trivial thing. It's one of the most important things from a psychology perspective of the founders to go for very, very large outcomes. But how does this happen, right? So is there a playbook? The playbooks have been shown. First and foremost is like a multi-product company. No one category you will be able to get to $1 billion that easily. So you'll have to have multiple products. So you have to start an anchor category from which you can get into a company, into a customer with a wedge, and then go from there. That is the most important thing. And then you have to go and keep on winning one category after the other, which also means you will have to start having team members. You need to develop that whole leadership inside the company, thought process for a 10-year investment, long-term horizon, all of those things. And you have to have a product which allows you to go to the next category and next category. Third is thinking global from day one. So I was just outside talking to some founders, and great product. They said, hey, we have a better product than ChainGuard. We have a better product than Lineage. And I said, okay, that's awesome. Then why not in the US? And they were like, hey, we will first get revenues in India and then go to the US. I think that for as a VC, you know, some founders are looking at me because I have asked the same questions to them. I know it's a hard question for founders. My own founders, which I have funded, I've been pushing them, and there's always this worry that we will run out of money. But the amazing, or not the amazing, but the hard part of VC investing is that you're always on the growth trajectory, so you're always on the edge. You have to take risky decisions. You have to go and show I will get it done, whatever the way it is. So you can't say, hey, you can't say I'll wait for 6 months, 7 months, maybe 1 year later I'll go to the US. Because if the large pockets of spends are in the US, if the customers who are going to buy from you, who are informed, who can actually get you the right logos on your deck, which will attract other customers of note, are all in the US, then you can't be sitting in India and you're just wasting your time, because for you, it's many years of your life invested in. Like as a VC, it's very easy for me to say, hey, okay, I'll not invest in this company, I'll invest in another company, because that is my portfolio approach. I'll invest in 10, maybe one will succeed. But for you, you are going to invest 10 years of your life. That's a very, very important thing, so important decision. So what is the highest priority decision can you do? Be closest to your customer. And as we'll discuss through the day, you don't need to actually go to US. You can ping a lot of people in the US, a lot of Indian origin CISOs, diaspora, security professionals are sitting in the US who are willing to chat with Indian founders, willing to help them. But you need to take the courage of going and reaching out to them, cold calling them, and that is what is needed. Um, Last but not least, a lot of Indian founders are great uh, engineers. We build products. When you ask a founder, hey, tell me about your product, they will go into details and into the features. But when I ask them, okay, how are you building your business? What are the business levers you can create? That's where the things stumble. Because people don't think about their business as much. Like, should you be doing, like, it was a good debate. Like today morning, I asked one of my founders, I'm going to say that you should start building in open source and PLG, because I think the world is changing with the way with generative GEO, generative engine optimization. The buyers are just searching online, getting a small set of answers, crisp, and then just coming to you. Founder said, no, I don't think open source and PLG works in cybersecurity. And that is something up for debate. Like in my mind, that is what I think is the right thing to do for the next decade. And we will only get to see in a couple of years. But the whole idea is that as a founder, you need to have some point of view on some of these things. Should you be engaging with more and more security influencers? Like, is that the approach which you should be doing? Like, you need to have a go-to-market strategy. I think that is also super important. So just beyond your product, spend more time on the business as well. And I think everybody is shorthanded in the beginning, but it's like 80-20. At least 80% of the time you're building the product, 20% of the time, make a conscious call. I need to think about how to go and build the business. can is $1 billion possible in less than 10 years? And these are three companies, you can see, which are hopefully going to get there, right? Wiz is probably going to get there this year itself, like 6 years in. This is what VCs look at. I know from a founder perspective, this is slightly unfair, but VCs are able to see this. So we say like, hey, the ask is for the next company, why not? Why can't you be like this? And we start thinking like that, right? So there's a choice set which VCs have. Um, and the whole idea is that if you're starting to think for a billion in 10 years, you will probably land up at 500, 300, whatever that number is. But at least a conversation can happen between a founder and a VC that, okay, this is the 5 things which need to happen. Maybe only 2 happen. You will get to 200, 300 million. Not a bad outcome. But you have to think large and you have to think high growth. And again, I'm just repeating, this is not necessary if you don't want to raise VC capital. But if you want to raise VC capital, you have to think big and you have to think very fast. I think fast growth, I think that is super important. I wanted to spend a lot of time on this slide. How do you think of moats? And it was very interesting. One of my founders, I asked him that, hey, how are you different from your competition? And his response was that I have customers like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, so I'm different. I'm better. Like, no, that is not an answer. Like tomorrow, your customers will also get those. That what is your core differentiation? Why does the customer buy you? You can't go to HDFC Bank and say ICICI Bank has me, that's why you should buy me. You can't go to a Morgan Stanley and say ICICI Bank has me, so you should buy me, because Morgan Stanley doesn't care about. Morgan Stanley cares about their pain points. They need to be able to understand why you are different, right? And it was a very interesting conversation. You finally have to be able to say that in one sentence. But the founder, we spent 1 hour, we could not come up with the right answer. And then we realized that we don't have a very highly differentiated business, right? Similarly, you need to understand about moats of your business when you're building. Every business, first of all, just to explain this slide, the third column, security embedded in core infrastructure, are the incumbents. Everybody in this room is fighting against a Microsoft, is fighting against a Zscaler, is fighting against Apple, is fighting against AWS, is fighting against Palo Alto Networks. These are the incumbents. These are the people, these are the vendors who are already sitting inside, and you have to create something which they don't have, and you have to go and fight against them. So everybody falls here in this room, falls actually on the rightmost bucket. I think the AWS and Microsoft teams are also here, but still, right? So you have everybody in that. And to fight against this third column, you need to have some moats. You need to build into the product. You need to think about that. What is it that your product is building? What is it that you are thinking in your engineering? Is it workflows? Is it some sort of integrations which you're doing? Is it some sort of new data which sets which you have? Is it services? Like in India Advantages, you can just do a lot of services as well, implementations. So you have to think about all of these moats very, very carefully as you're architecting your product, as you're architecting your business. I think this is one of the most important things you could do. If anything else, please just take this away from the conference. Finally, from Accel's, it's amazing that we are all in the middle of the AI revolution. We are very privileged, I think, generation to be able to see this. This is the biggest platform shift of all times. I've been investing for 13 plus years, and nothing like this has happened before. And every time there's a platform shift, new opportunities in cyber keep coming about. So you have, for example, when on-prem to cloud, you had the rise of CSPMs, CM, CSPP. When you had SaaS explosion, the DLP whole piece started coming up. And now with Gen AI, you have a new set of categories will emerge. Just in RAG, I was spending time on RAG the last few days. And RAG itself has moved from RAG to contextual RAG to encrypted RAG to homomorphic RAG. So it's actually becoming very complex. And each of these new advances in technologies will keep on giving us newer and newer things to build on. And those things are completely up for grabs for everybody in the room. But there are 3 use cases where we like to spend time as of now. And these keep changing. We do this every quarter, where we spend time with CISOs globally and we ask them, what is your highest priority? The first is social engineering. In pre-AI world, it was all phishing. Now we are starting to see multimodal deepfake attacks. People are impersonating voice. I think those stories are abound. People are generating more and more realistic looking pages, realistic looking, like AI calls. All of us get so many WhatsApp calls. And I think this is the right time. Somebody has to create the defense against these solutions, and these solutions will keep on getting more and more sophisticated, more realistic. So this is going to be a big opportunity. We have to figure out what is the right way to intersect. This is not a hidden secret. I think there are enough companies here which are talking about AI SOC. When AI came out, the first thing was SOC will get reinvented. The first thing was, hey, analysts for free. No CISO wants to hire more FTEs, and this was the answer which people came up with. But there is a lot of solutions are still being made on how to do it. And people are creating, by the way, this is not like you can even create solutions, agentic solutions for the SOC. So there are slivers of it which allow you to go all the way. But this is a large area which you can build on. Sorry. And finally, identity. We are becoming more and more important. As agents go across the board, agentic AI is bound to happen. I think today we are at 40% accuracy with LLMs on agentic solutions. It'll get to that 70, 80, 90 in the next couple of years. Founders have to build ahead of time. People are building agentic mail. People are building agentic apps, agentic UI. So you will find personal agents like should my personal agent talk to my bank and bank will have his own agent. So those kind of transactions. In fact, just imagine this, right? A very simple statement, problem statement. If you are using Cursor, you're writing 1,000 times more code. That code has a lot more observability in it, a lot more logging in it. So 1,000 times more logs are getting created. And then on top of it, agents are talking to each other. So you have 1,000 times more communication chatter happening in the system. So you have 10 to the power 9 of logs probably going to get created in the next couple of years. And no existing systems can support it. There's no way you can analyze them. Right? And then within that, you have to go find what happened. So you have to go look at identity, you have to go look at root cause analysis. A lot of stuff is going to change. So think for the future. And that is what is important when you're thinking of these areas. So these are the 3 areas that you want to talk about. Finally, all of you are here in the room. Thank you for coming. Please spend the time talking to each other. We have folks who have come from various parts of the world. We have a lot of walk-ins, which gives a sign that the conference is becoming popular. So that's great. We want to continue to do this more often. More importantly, I think please don't be in your comfort zone. Please meet folks you have not met before. Please, the whole idea is that get new ideas from others. Just stop and talk to folks. On the badges, you will see founder written, operator written, investor written. That gives you a sense of who to go and talk to. So please do that. The whole idea is to make this an ecosystem where all of us can grow together. Thank you very much.